Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Data Source series, a series where we discuss a series of data sources, all of which are free to use. Today, we're going to be talking about PubMed and relating it back to clinical trials and open payments, which we discussed in last week's video. If you enjoy the video, make sure to give it a like and share it with a friend. Comment down below if you have any questions, and make sure to subscribe to catch the next video in the series. Enjoy the video.
Hello, hi everybody.
Hello.
Hi JP, how are you?
Very good. Very good.
Awesome. So last week we had a good discussion about how to connect the clinical trials with the open payments data set.
Yep.
And how to zoom in on the PIs and the sites.
Yeah, that was very helpful to
Right.
identify the PI, especially when the PI is not in the clinical trial, but then we go to open payments, you can actually find the PI.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was very helpful, but I got into a pickle.
What happened?
So I got to realize that the PIs that we picked are actually in cahoots with our competitor. And
I see.
Right. So we had a hard time kind of getting them. So what would your suggestion be for my situation?
I think I've got an answer for you.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay, let's
excited.
take a look at the screen here.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe we'll do a quick background of
Okay.
what's inside each database, and then we can explain how it's going to work.
Perfect.
So in the clinicaltrials.gov, as you can see here,
Mm-hmm.
there is the clinical trial ID, which is called National Clinical Trial. That's called NCT.
Right.
And then there's something called PMID, which is the PubMed, where all the publications are.
Got it.
And then you've got the PI of interest. So one of the problems that we have is sometimes the PI would go like something generic like BMS or
Right.
Pfizer or something like
Yeah,
that. It doesn't
I've
tell
seen
you.
that.
Yeah,
Right.
it doesn't tell you what it is.
Ah,
And then you have the authors if there's a publication, right?
Yeah.
If you go to the open payments, kind of the major fields in there would be the NCT. This is how you can cross.
Correct.
And we talk about that from the clinical trials to the open payments.
Yeah.
And then you have the PI, and not only you have the PI, you have the NPI of the PI, which
That's
is
pretty good.
really cool, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got all the money that we talked about. And this is how I believe you realize that
Hmm.
your PI you're interested in got in cahoots with the
Yes,
competitor.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay,
We
cool.
have the manufacturer.
So what we can do here is to bring in PubMed. We talked about PubMed briefly, but we'll talk a little more here.
Okay.
And PubMed has the PubMed ID, obviously, and this is how you bridge between clinical trials
Mm-hmm.
and PubMed. It has the NCT, the clinical trial number,
Uh-huh.
and then it's got the author and
Mhm.
the. Here we're going to talk about the author network,
Mhm.
the article, and the affiliation of the stuff.
Yeah.
So what happens here? What you can do
Okay.
if you get the PI
Mm.
of and the PI is in cahoots and you can't use the PI,
Hmm.
you can look for the buddies of the PI. And the way you get the buddies of the PI is through PubMed. So the PubMed, what may happen, so PubMed doesn't tell you the PI, but you get a bunch of authors.
Right.
But it is possible that you are a PI and I'm PI, and the two of us, we wrote a study together.
Got it.
So in which case, say you're in the cahoots with the competitor,
Right.
and we don't know my status yet,
Uh-huh.
but you can identify another PI that was a
Oh.
co-author of
Okay.
the PI of interest.
That is
So that
nice.
would appear in PubMed. And that would be like a direct relationship. The relationship could be kind of indirect,
Okay.
right? So Hannah, who's hiding behind the screen over there,
Mhm.
could be a co-author. She could be a PI or may not be a PI,
Right.
but you wrote something with Hannah.
Wow.
I wrote something with Hannah. I never wrote anything with you. And then through the intermediary of Hannah, we could connect the two.
Nice.
And that would be through, in that case, it would be two publications.
Right.
One publication, you and Hannah. A second publication, Hannah and me.
Nice.
And then you basically can get around and find them. So just to summarize, if you got your PI of interest for some reason not available in cahoots or whatever reason,
Right.
so you can get like a sphere around using PubMed to get one layer of PIs, and then you can go indirect. But as you get out there, they may not be having exactly the focus that you wanted, that the reason you're interested in the study kind of it gets diluted.
Right.
But it is on the way for you to identify those PIs.
That is awesome. Yeah, then we kind of expand our pool of relevant physicians and PIs.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Awesome.
And then you can get, as you said last time,
Mm.
we can get not only the PI, but the collaborators. So
Right.
they may be kind of PIs in the offing, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of the new generation of PIs that are coming out, right?
Yeah,
So,
Promising, extending our reach as well.
Yep.
So thank you for that suggestion, JP.
Oh, you're
And,
welcome.
so it's more like I'm thinking like a cocktail, right? So not just
Cocktail.
yeah, add a little more gin and vodka and soda. So just like how we combine clinical trials, open payments, and PubMed, it becomes a powerful combination.
Yeah, that's a very interesting analogy on the cocktail, because more and more we realize that if you just take one database, it may not quite get it. But if you are a little crafty, a little creative, the way you combine them,
Right.
then you can do some good fireworks.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can.
And don't get drunk too much.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Take
Until next
care.
time.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.